So I get private messages on Facebook all the time, and a lot of them go is, why don't you just derby this car, and why don't you derby that car, and why don't you derby this car? It ranges from everything like, why don't you derby a 2015 Challenger Hellcat? I've actually got that question asked. Sometimes I'm just like, if I had $80,000 to buy a really nice car, I'd spend $80,000 on a really nice car. And then sometimes I get questions asked like, why don't I derby this car? This one, for example, I bought a 2006 Buick Enclave, and it's a guy here in this town. This car here was just about falling apart. So I told him, you give me your 2008 Ford Focus, I'll give you this 2006 Buick Enclave, and we'll just straight trade. And if I get a new car in 2 years or so, I'll come over and see if you want to trade the Enclave for the new car I get. Because realistically, some of the cars I get are too good to send to scrap, and with the no demolition derbies this year, a lot of them I'm not going to get time to demolition derby. So the Enclave was a beautiful car. It was lady driven. It had 200,000 K on it. That's like 120,000 miles on it, and it needed a power steering line. So I gave him the car. He got it safetied, put a power steering line. It cost him $600, and he got rid of this car. Now, why you need to get rid of it, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, you can see how bad that tie rod is. You can see how bad those rockers are. There's actually nothing left. This, I tried to remove the brake drum, but it wouldn't come off, so I just said screw it. And I highly doubt I can do it because there's pressure on it, but this bushing back here is gone as well. So there was a lot wrong with this car. Plus it started to leave them stranded. It was breaking down every now and then. Now mind you, it was just stupid little sensors. But this car was starting to leave them stranded. So I ended up just giving them the Buick Enclave in trade for this. So I'll scrap it. But there's no way in the world I'm going to take this into a demolition derby. With the rockers the way they are, one bad hit and the car is going to fold right at my feet. And honestly, I'm not willing to take something into the ring, especially here in Ontario now with a lot of our rules with the welding that's allowed. And there's some stock shows, and I would make sure I take this to a stock show. But if I had to go to a different show where there's a lot of welding and square tubing bumpers allowed, one good placed hit and this car would just fold right in half. So sometimes you got to do the math. Is it worth it to put your time and energy into it? Is it worth it to spend all that time, money, taking it apart, putting a cage in it, putting a bumper on it, to take it to a show to make one hit and the whole car fold in half? You guys tell me you're tired of seeing me build Camrys, but realistically, Camrys are what is winning around me. On average, there was 100 shows here in Ontario last year. If there was 100 shows here in Ontario, I bet you Camrys would win at about 92 to 95 out of those 100 shows. So that's why I kind of stick to Camrys. Now that you guys could say that's because there's mostly Camrys that show up here, but you know, 5 years ago there would be one Camry and 12 Cavaliers, and the Camry would win over all the Cavaliers. So it's not off a pure number basis. And a lot of you guys are saying, well, why don't you run W bodies? At our shows here in Ontario, most of them, W bodies run full size. So Camrys really don't even have to compete against a W body here unless you take a Camry into full size, which you are allowed to do at most shows. But that being said, I wouldn't waste my time on something like this. Any GM with aluminum spindles, I really wouldn't waste my time on unless I have the tools to get rid of the aluminum spindles front and rear if the rules allow. There's some crazy cars that I would like to try this year. So some of the ones that I would like to try in 2021, I still got the PT Loser or PT Bruiser, whatever you guys started naming it. I actually never came up with an actual name about it, but it's still sitting here ready to be derbied. I got this Element, but a lot of shows actually won't let me run this Element, so it's probably just going to go for scrap. Unfortunately, I got this Ford Taurus. It is a high horsepower, heavy V6 front wheel drive car. I'd really like to take this into a bone stock full size and see how this thing does. I would leave the aluminum rims and everything. I just want to see how this car actually does, but with COVID shutting everything down, I can't go anywhere to eat. I can't even go into most stores. I pretty much just sit in the parking lot and have to phone the numbers on the doors and wait for them to bring me stuff. I highly doubt I'll be actually able to even run this thing this year. So it's probably going to get scrapped, and it's a shame because this is a 2008 Ford Taurus, brand new tires, brand new brakes. It is a nice car. The lady got rid of it because it needs a wheel bearing and it has a power steering leak apparently. But I really want to derby this. I think this thing would be kind of cool with the speed and the weight of it. I imagine that it would lay down some pretty mean shots, but I probably won't find out, unfortunately, which is a downside. But who knows, maybe I'll try to find some barnyard derby going on this year. But like most cars like this Focus, because of how rotted it is, I won't run it. There's no way I would even take my time to build it. So sometimes you guys got to just play out the positive and negatives on building a car and see if it outweighs the positive outweighs the negatives. Like I said, anything with aluminum spindles, I pretty much will not run anymore. Anything that is completely rotted, I will not run. Unless it is a super rotted Camry going to a super bone stock show, I will take that. But I won't run anything rotted because I've had bad experiences. Rotted cars bend weird, and if you run one, it will go completely different than how you're actually expecting to go, and it's not worth it. It's not worth the time. But, oh well. This one here is going to go off to scrap. Scrap's at $200 a ton by me right now, so I'm kind of trying to cash in. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'm just trying to get some videos for you guys. I know that there's no derbies going on this winter, so getting a whole bunch of videos for you guys is going to be difficult. Earl's coming along pretty good, slowly but good. So take care, everybody. Trying to get some videos. Take care. Bye.